Ronnie Bell brings it out. Stays on his feet. Just about broke it. Dragged down at the 33-yard line. So here comes Shea Patterson. And if you're an NFL fan, this is about as complimentary a comparison as you could have.
Well, it's who Pep Hamilton, his coordinator, said the two of them watch. You know, they watch a lot of NFL guys get it done in a variety of ways, and that's what Mahomes does. From every arm angle, moving inside and outside the pocket. Patterson loves them. And look at that. Look at the arm angle. Look at the movement. You will see this afternoon. He's thrown to a spot where you don't even see the Wolverine receiver until he's into the end zone. That kind of playmaking and creativity will have to be on display this afternoon.
Zone read. There goes Patterson. Across midfield.
Well, it's no coincidence that Shea Patterson has some similarities with Patrick Mahomes. The two of them actually spent some time together over the summer in San Diego at a quarterback retreat. And Shea told me that he learned a lot from his relationship with Mahomes about how to make different types of throws and how to really use his athleticism and his style of play, how to manage it, when to run and when not to.
He's fun to watch. His creativity impacts the game in a lot of different ways. Chris Evans stood up right about at the line of scrimmage. Karan Higdon, one of the players that has opted to not play in the bowl game for Michigan. So Evans gets the start at tailback. And Karan Higdon had 224 carries during the regular season. None of the other backs for Michigan had more than 74. Now it's a former walk-on True Wilson that lines up as the lone setback on 2nd down and 9. Christian Turner, the true freshman, on the jet sweep, gets down the sideline. Did he stay in bounds? The officials say yes. That's a Michigan touchdown.
I think that left foot is going to be the only foot in judgment right here, as I imagine they're going to have to take another look at this.
Wow. Talk about a tightrope. And certainly seems as if replay is going to want to take a look at least 2, if not 3 of those strides to see if you can say he was out of bounds.
Well, Ed Warner told us yesterday, you're going to see an hour opener, and that one looks, I don't see any green in between it. I think that one's pretty definitive to my eye right there, Bob.
David Reese was over there just to nudge Turner enough to the sideline.
Yeah, that's the only step in question right there. But Ed Warner, O-line coach, said you're going to see a couple new little wrinkles in our openers. They don't script necessarily, but they got 10 plays they call their openers that they want to make sure they've worked on this month, that everybody knows is going to be in the game plan. Little zone read with a QB keeper for 20 yards, and a true freshman on a jet sweep. Just the kind of things you'll see this afternoon, I'm sure, in the other semifinals, where you have so much time to prepare and show and give your opponent something they've not seen.
I was going to ask you, when you were playing and you had that long layoff from the end of the regular season to the bowl game, how much of the, kind of scientists in the lab the coaches become, they're just trying to come up with something fresh for the bowl game that no one's seen before?
I think you heard from both of those men yesterday, Harbaugh and Mullen. It's what they navigate. It's that line they walk, that, hey, we're not going to get away from what got us here and what we do best. But at the same time, if there's tendency busters in both of these groups, they're here because they have tendencies. That's not a bad thing. But they're going to try to break those tendencies early, and this jet sweep just, I think, a bit indicative of it.
This is not a quick review.
You want to get this right. What an enormous play to start it, but I just don't see any green whatsoever, and it looks like they're marching that ball back.
Also, when you step out of bounds, the clock should have stopped, so there might be some bookkeeping to do to make sure they've got the clock right, and it looks like they've got the ball all the way back close to the 38-yard line. Here's the call.
After reviewing the play, the runner's left foot was out of bounds at the 38-yard line. Be 3rd down and 1 at the 38-yard line. Please set the game clock to 13:46. 13-46.
So it ends up being an 8-yard gain, and it's 3rd down and 1. So take away what would have been the first touchdown of Christian Turner's Michigan career. And now a chance for Florida to get a stop.
Yeah, and also a time for your offensive line to impose their will. Ben Mason, this is usually his territory. The fullback, 7 touchdowns rushing. This is also where you make your statement with those big bodies up front. And it is Mason at tailback.
Mason gets the call. And submarines right to the line to gain. The official coming in from the far side immediately puts a fist up, signaling 4th down. So now an early decision for Jim Harbaugh on 4th down and a foot.
Yeah, give me a QB sneak right here. I just do not like, especially with the speed of Florida. I don't know if I like that lateral run. Give me a QB sneak, let everybody push Shea forward.
It looks like they're going to bring the chains out to measure and give Michigan the exact information they need to figure out what they want to do. It didn't even seem like Coach Harbaugh flinched, though. There was no kicker making a move from the Michigan sideline. He's got his offense on the field set to go for it.
Ready?
Fourth down and about 4 inches. So some drama right away in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Michigan is going to go for it on 4th down and a half a foot.
If Tom Brady's watching, former Wolverine, I know what he's calling. He's the best QB sneaker in the history of football.
Chris Evans lines up behind Mason in the eye. And signals from Patterson. Leaping into the pile is Mason. Did Florida get a stop? Voshon Joseph got there first. And they want to bring the chains out again.
You know, we talk about timing all the time in the passing game. There's timing in a run game and in defending it too. And you could not have timed it any better if you're Voshon Joseph right there. You'll see these Gator active linebackers very active this afternoon coming towards the line of scrimmage. And you see his movement. It almost times perfectly with Mason steps in the backfield and that collision right in the hole. You can't time it any better than Voshon did right there. You're almost mirroring those steps of that fullback in the timing of that, so you make sure you collide at the right time.
Florida ball.
Todd Grantham, D coordinator, loves it. That's why I don't like necessarily anything but a QB sneak right there. There is just too many moving pieces. And especially now, there's some freedom to push that quarterback and that runner forward. And you allow Florida to time it up beautifully on those last 2 short yardage situations. And Michigan as a team, you're equipped to move the ball right there, and the Gators get it done.
Great field position for Felipe Franks. Play action on 1st down, and Franks out of the pocket curls one to the sideline off his back foot to avoid the sack. Kwity Paye was all over Felipe Franks.
That's a play that Felipe doesn't make a year ago. They matched up in the opener, these two, and Felipe eventually benched in the 2nd quarter of that game. That just shows you some of his growth and maturity. Just an incredible all-around athlete. I mean, you just stand next to him and you feel the ball whiz off his fingertips. He's got a lot of skill set, but what a really good decision there to avoid a negative play on 1st down.
Jordan Scarlett gets dumped behind the line. A loss of 3.5. Tackle for loss for Carlo Kemp.
That's one way to offset Devin Bush's absence. Kwity Paye gets pressure on first down. You don't block Carlo Kemp. He is right in the backfield. He's doing his best. Rashawn Gary right there. Off the line of scrimmage and ball, and two very active plays on the onset for the #1 statistical defense in America coming into this matchup.
Franks rolls the pocket. Sings one to the sideline, out of bounds, intended for Trayvon Grimes. Again, it was Kwity Paye that was in pursuit, so a 3 and out for the Gators after they get the takeaway on downs.
What an active group right there. My goodness gracious. I kind of like what Dan Mullen wanted to do there and try to establish for his quarterback. But Michigan just bringing tremendous energy with a very critical 3 and out.
Tommy Townsend averaging close to 45 yards per kick this season. And Donovan Peoples-Jones, who had a punt return for a touchdown against Nebraska, is back deep to receive. Movement in the line. Mike DeFee is our referee, a Big 12 crew.
False start. On the kicking team, number 28. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
And for my money, give me Mike DeFee's crew anytime. You have seen him officiate national title games. This crew is all over it. I think they've been right here, as they too have not had a game in about a month or so to get ready for this one. It's going to be a very physical affair.
Line drive kick from Townsend, and a beauty. Oh, it spins down to the 5-yard line. What a...
7 guys. Very rarely do you see them play the same defense twice. They're in and out of a 3-man front, a 4-man front. You've seen the linebackers like Joseph already stunt. This is a very active crew for Shea Patterson to try to decipher.
Evans again. It's going to be 3rd down out close to the 12-yard line, so 3rd down and about 3. Jeremiah Moon made the stop. And there is that NFL background, a one-time defensive coordinator with the Browns in the NFL. And they have used 3rd down as their barometer this season. That was something that Dan Mullen pointed out. Solid on 3rd down, we win. Poor on 3rd down, we lose. Patterson wide open up the sideline. It's Zach Gentry. Close to the 40-yard line before he's run out. Michigan will have it at their own 38, a gain of 27 yards.
Yeah, not bad for your first pass attempt here. And Shea does just enough with his shoulders to attract that corner up into the flat route on 3rd and short. That corner has got to feel that flat corner route, and Shea hints at him just enough to fit that corner route behind. That's well executed and a good sign. Michigan wins on 3rd down. They win this game today.
Christian Turner tripped up behind the line. Jawan Taylor came on a safety blitz and made the stop right at the line.
Yeah, there's going to be, and you've watched some of the bowl season, and there's been a lot of games of checkers. You know, you got spread teams and tempo teams, and there's not a whole lot of defenses. This is a game of chess today. Harbaugh's an NFL guy with background. Grantham's an NFL guy with background. You will see a lot of diversity of scheme.
Play action for Patterson. Designed rollout. Incomplete. Threw it behind Sean McCune. So now it'll be 3rd down and 9.
He did, and that was a new formation. That's a new little wrinkle. McCune is right in the hip pocket of Shea. Pre-snap actually sneaks through the guard and center. And I think Shea was protecting him from that contact. I think that was an intentional, trying to slow him down before he ran into that collision with Steiner. And McCune just could not feel that out.
The complication, the looks we'll see all afternoon for this Florida defense. Why is it so hard to teach in college?
Because you got a 20-hour work week. And you better be an excellent teacher. And here comes a little line stunt to the bottom of your screen with Mr. Polite. One of the best in college football getting there after the quarterback.
It's a 5-man rush. Under pressure and going down is Patterson. C.J. Henderson on a corner blitz. And the Gators get a stop. That's a loss of 7.
Yeah, when Polite and Zanini are lined up next to each other, it is a alert, 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 and well done by Grantham. Because usually with those two, there's a game played between the two top sackers. And instead, this time, so much focus on those two that C.J. Henderson, the corner, sneaks right in between them for his 3rd sack of the season.
Freddie Swain with a fair catch at the 25-yard line.
The necessary protection adjustments based on what they're seeing from Michigan. Part of it may be the noise, guys. It's a neutral site, but a lot of fans here for Michigan as well. Coach Mullen asked his tackles, "Can you hear me?" And Felipe Franks came over and said, "We're going to go silent, Caden."
Felipe Franks on a keeper's got a first down. Devin Gill brought him down, but you thought quarterback run today might be the deciding factor.
Yeah, I think 3rd downs and winning 3rd downs, and then whichever one of these quarterbacks makes plays with his legs is going to win this game. I think Franks in time will be even more and more capable in Dan Mullen's system to do just that. He's a tremendous athlete that is still very much learning how to run in this scheme.
23 touchdowns against only 6 interceptions, but 6 rushing touchdowns this season. Seems more and more comfortable running the football as the season has gone on. This is LaMichael Piron for a yard.
It's a nice play inside again by that defensive line. And I think why I say that with these quarterbacks in particular, Bob, is just the scheme on the other side. For Felipe, a little bit like the Wolverines had against Ohio State. You know, you break one tackle against a lot of man-to-man coverage, there is going to be a ton of green grass available. And the hardest guy for any defense to defend when you're a man scheme is that extra guy, that quarterback that can run.
Swing pass in the flat to Piron. It'll be 3rd down. Devin Gill popped him out of bounds just shy of midfield. So 3rd down and 3.
Like what Dan Mullen said to Allison earlier, we just got to get in the flow of a game. Just a reminder, I think, to everybody, and for those coaches like Dan that have coached big games, it's going to be the same thing in the Cotton Bowl that follows us. Just trying to get yourself into that game speed and the flow of what it feels like. 3rd downs like this help set that table.
Tunnel screen. Piron makes the catch and he's got the first down. Well designed by Dan Mullen as they get Piron in space.
Yeah, and give a little tip of the cap to Kadarius Toney. He actually gets thrown down. He sacrifices his body. The corner there, Watson, actually in press coverage, throws Toney into the other defender, thus freeing up that space for a 3rd down conversion, whatever it takes in bowl games.
They want the deep ball up the seam, and it's dropped in perfectly to Van Jefferson, short of the pylon. They'll mark him out at the 3, 1st and goal Gators.
That's your #1 receiver against the strong safety. Those are the matchups you want. You want to get Jefferson, and you can see it. He wins right off the snap. And you love him against #1 corners, but even more against safeties.
And now the Gators want to play with some tempo. Quarterback draw. Felipe Franks maybe picked up a half yard. Chase Winovich cut him down. 2nd down and goal.
It's one of the beauties of Dan's scheme. He plays a lot of different personnel and people. He's going to burden this Michigan defense. You're going to see Toney in different spots. You will see Emory Jones, the backup quarterback, at some time here, I think, in this 1st quarter of play. Try to get your best, most talented people on some of the safeties, some of the backup corners, something Dan Mullen has traditionally done very, very well.
Franks extending the play. Wide open in the end zone was Toney, and he didn't see him. Kadarius Toney was wide open, and Felipe Franks just didn't look up.
Well, you're exactly right. You're going to see him break contain right here, okay? And these are the steps he's got to take. Eventually in time, he's going to find that receiver. Get your eyes up. Right here. You got all of this field to go and find it. Just put that ball in the air, and instead he's more focused on beating the defender. Those are some of still the baby steps in his progression as a quarterback, to have those eyes up.
Now it's 3rd down and goal. One-on-one in the end zone. Trayvon Grimes knocked away. Brandon Watson had it blanketed.
I'm going to say that if Felipe had his eyes up on that last play, it's a 90% conversion. This, a one-on-one, this is all Michigan works on. They know what people want to do against press man-to-man coverage. You want to throw fade routes. When you got a 6'3" receiver there, that thing has got to be hung high to the back of the end zone, but that second down miss, just not the awareness to have the eyes up in the full field vision as everything's speeding up. That was the big play.
So Evan McPherson, the true freshman, as soon as we're done. McPherson to kick it deep. And this will be a touchback. How much pressure is on Ian Book to try and avoid this pass rush?
I think quite a bit, but that's how you have to beat Clemson. Much like Eric Dungy did when that game went to the wire down there in Death Valley, that creativity. You're seeing with both quarterbacks today, extending plays outside the pocket. And I think it's one of the real underrated assets of Ian Book. He's done it all season long. He's nimble, he's nifty. He's going to have to be against that front four. And the more plays he makes in space, the better for Notre Dame.
When you prepare for Clemson, are you almost accepting as the jumping off point, we probably can't block them?
You should.
And you're putting things in your game plan, or are you giving your offensive line a chance to run your base stuff? Just try and block them up.
I think it has to be a negative, but as a quarterback, you better make sure you prepare your off-balance throws and off-schedule throws.
Patterson floats one down the seam, and he had Nick Eubanks and just put a little too much air under the ball. And Shea Patterson knows he missed one.
Yeah, he did. He felt just enough pressure in his face. There was just enough push on John Runyon there into the lap of Patterson. That's not an excuse. That's a throw that he's got to make. We saw one earlier just on the back shoulder of McCune against this quality defense. When you've got your opportunities, especially on early downs, you got to hit them because this is a really good group on third down.
Chris Evans empties the backfield. Florida brings a blitz. Patterson can't beat it. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
He's a little juiced. There is no shortage of RPMs coming out of the fingertips of Shea Patterson when he rips it. Jim Harbaugh knows it. But those are a couple throws, and Harbaugh also knows. And in fact, in many ways, his game is very similar to Shea Patterson's way back in the 80s when Jim was a QB. I know he's watching those things. We'll have a little conversation with his QB to just settle down a bit.
Patterson well protected. Uses the protection to squeeze one to the sideline, and Nico Collins has a 1st down catch.
And this is the future of Michigan next season. These two big receivers. Collins has come into his own. That's against a second-team All-SEC corner in Henderson, and you're using your big frame. You see how he gets inside, Bob? And he gives all that green grass to the boundary for the quarterback to throw that out route. You love to see that, and even more, you love that big receiver playing big on 3rd down.
That was the best pass protection we've probably seen from Michigan so far. Florida ran a couple of games up front, and Michigan.
It's working. The lateral movement much better. Still some pain when he drops back, but it's improving daily. He should be full go.
Got 2 yards on 1st down for Chris Evans.
It's amazing how these teams know that injury, and Nick Saban's gone through it before, and that's why they have surgery immediately. I mean, something that was never done even 2-3 years ago, and some of that evolution to make sure you get your best players ready to go.
Patterson on 2nd down. One-on-one down the sideline for Collins. Nico Collins does it again. Walls off the coverage and hauls in a deep one. The true freshman, Trey Dean, couldn't knock it away.
I'll tell you what, if you're a Wolverine fan up there in Ann Arbor and didn't make this trip down, you watch Christian Turner nearly take it to the house against this SEC defense. You're watching Nico Collins, kid from Alabama that made his commitment to Michigan, really grew this season, and on its biggest stage right now has made 2 just tremendous plays. When you give Jim Harbaugh a quarterback, you give him a couple big play, big-time receivers on the outside, you're going to give yourself a much better chance against these top 10 teams.
Christian Turner into a pile up at the 18-yard line for 3.
And that right there is simply a body blow. As Pep Hamilton said to us yesterday, as many creative ways as we can to get to the body of these Gators. They want to get upfield. They want to show all sorts of different looks. They want to be flying like a blur all over the field. And you got to be committed to take those 3 yards. You have to shorten this game to play to the strengths of your team and also pay dividends late.
Pep Hamilton has every bit the NFL background that Jim Harbaugh has, so it is a complicated playbook that Michigan throws at this offense. 4-man rush. Patterson, the check down. Chris Evans bullies his way inside the 15-yard line down to about the 13. It'll be 3rd down and a couple. C.J. Henderson brought him down.
Ooh, that's pretty good. That's a nice job of Shea. A little bit of motion right there. Confused Florida. There were a lot of fingers being pointed, a lot of conversation at the snap of that ball. And you give your running back a chance to turn upfield, he can do some damage. Situational football will also play, like these 3rd downs, a huge role in the outcome today.
3rd down and a yard and a half. True Wilson. 1st down. It's goal to go for Michigan.
That is just some old school power right there. The 3rd down and 1 was stopped earlier. 4th and inches was stopped earlier in Florida possession. And I love Jim Harbaugh not deviating, not trying to get cute with the play action pass on 3rd one. I think that is also a psychological move to your team that no, we're going to still get up there and pound the football.
Even without Karan Higdon.
Yes. Next man up.
And this time it's True Wilson to the right of Patterson in the shotgun. Play action, fade route, Peoples-Jones, he's got it! That's a Michigan touchdown! Eighth of the season for Donovan Peoples-Jones. Michigan's got the 7-3 lead. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, and Allison Williams here in Atlanta. Do you see a little difference this last possession for Shea Patterson? You were talking about the fact a couple of possessions ago, RPMs, he's hot. He's got to settle down a bit. Do you see him settling into the game a bit?
I think that 3rd down helps. And anytime your receiver, that was a deep out route, your receiver comes back and helps you a little bit, man, it just can energize you as a quarterback. And kind of telling here in a game that I think is going to be highly contested. 2 very similar concepts, right? Little fade routes down into the end zone. And you see a little bit of the inexperience of Felipe there, leaving it a little bit short. Shea had a lot of room and opportunity, and Donovan Peoples-Jones delivers on the other end. I'm telling you, Bob, if they add just a little juice, and Shea brings it. I think his charisma and athleticism brings it. But then you add some juice on the perimeter, a little bit of swag, and you can win those one-on-one situations. You can just give yourself a chance to do something. You've not done much. Just 1-8 against top 10 teams under Harbaugh. You got to change that narrative today.
And the difference, red zone defense. One team gets in the red zone, gets a stop, holds to a field goal. The opposition gets in the red zone. And it is a touchdown to give Michigan the lead. Darius Toney watches it sail through the back of the end zone. Well, New Year's Day on ABC, ringing 2019 with another bowl game. Brock Ewart will be there to watch All-American linebacker Josh Allen and Kentucky take on Trace McSorley and Penn State in the VRBO Citrus Bowl in Orlando at 1 Eastern on New Year's Day.
Now, will your Fish concert be over by then, or is that later that night?
3rd set.
3rd set.
Yes. Gotcha. We'll be waiting for the encore.
Great. And I expect you watching.
Now it's Jordan Scarlett taking over a tailback, alternating with Pirine. Play clock down to 2. Play action for Felipe Franks. He hoists one. for Josh Hammond. It's a jump ball won by Hammond across the 50-yard line.
And that ball was in the air a long time, and typically Khalid Hudson and Josh Metellus make a play on that ball, but the two of them, they do not pass that route off very well. And even a hanging fly ball there is able to be brought down on a tremendous catch by Hammond.
Counter to Jordan Scarlett. And he's able to grind down about 3.5 yards. David Long came up to bring him down.
Those explosive plays, Don Brown was still recounting them to us yesterday, right? He went through them every day, etched in his mind. The old coordinator, he's not going to forget them against Ohio State. The 3 or 4 explosive plays that he went detail by detail by detail through. He's not going to like that one right there. That's 2 veteran guys that just do not play that route concept very well.
Hand off to Kadarius Toney. He jitterbugs close to a first down.
Whenever he touches the ball, just do that little art with the line that follows him, because it's going to go everywhere. The coaching staff talking about yesterday, like he ran an outside zone, like, whoa, he actually ran it on its course for the first time all season. They love his creativity.
He came to Florida as a dual threat quarterback, at least out of high school. He had 100 touchdowns, responsible for junior and senior year combined in high school. Threw for 69, ran for 31, and they love moving him around. And now on third down and short, they're going to sneak it. And it looks like Felipe Franks has the first down.
There's the advantage of being 6'6". You just fall forward, move the chains on a pretty fast moving first quarter down here in Atlanta.
And it looks like that will take us to the end of the first quarter of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. There were a lot of momentum swings in a game that's 7-3. That was a fun first 15 minutes. So Felipe Franks has a fresh set of downs when we come back to start the second quarter of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Nico Collins has made some Oklahoma in the Capital One Orange Bowl. Both games live on the ESPN app, so you can watch them anywhere. Emory Jones lines up at quarterback and runs the quarterback draw to start off the second quarter. We knew we would see the true freshman at some point, part of the script early as far as Dan Mullen was concerned. And he told us they intentionally only played him 3 games during the season and held him out of the Florida State game. They didn't want to, with the new rule, burn his red shirt and at the same time keep him eligible for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. And there is Emory Jones starting off the second quarter at quarterback.
And there was a one-on-one that if Khalid Hudson doesn't make the tackle is a touchdown.
A little toss to Scarlett. Stiff arm from Jordan Scarlett. And it's a first down for Florida. Down in about the 17-yard line.
Yeah, I was listening to Tim Tebow yesterday talk about these Gators, and there's some real intrigue when it comes to Emory Jones. Because Dan Mullen likes guys, and Felipe's grown as a runner, but Emory is a really natural, gifted runner, and bringing this element in, he's willing to play both quarterbacks, and it's just going to present more challenges in the run game for Michigan.
Quarterback draw again for Emory Jones. Inside the 15 to the 14-yard line, he picks up 3.
I mean, you think about the guys that Dan has worked with through the years. Right, most of them, Alex Smith ran it in his own way. Obviously, Tim was a sledgehammer, running between the tackles. Dak Prescott, so adept at that. Dan Mullen's a good one at utilizing all the skill sets of everybody on his roster.
And now Felipe Franks back in the game, 2nd and 7 inside the 15. Play clock down to 8.
And man, look.
Play action, Franks. In the flat, Scarlett couldn't haul it in. And now it will be 3rd down and 7. And there is Ginger Franks, Felipe's mother. Getting set for a stressful 3rd down and 7 in the red zone.
Nothing like a quarterback mom. This is a big one here. 4 receivers to the top. A unique look here from the Gators.
Play clock at 5. Quarterback draw. Felipe Franks up the middle. No Wolverines were there. Josh Metellus came over to bring him down, and now it's 4th down and about 2. They'll mark Franks down at the 9.
Check this out. Look at pre-snap here. This is why they were looking over. There's no linebackers here. This is exactly the look you want. But Michigan knows it, and so does their safety, who knows what's coming. If you clear out that box, this is that chess match of 2 teams that are so well coached that if you expose and there's no linebackers, your safeties have to fill that gap quickly, and they did.
It looked like Dan Mullen thought about
per side, 1 yard separating them in the passing numbers. I mean, it was through the first 18 minutes of play. Almost identical statistically, but situational football in an NFL-esque matchup like this one is today. 3rd downs, red zone, so huge.
False start. Some movement from Florida. It looks like it spooked Andrew Stuber.
False start. Offense, number 71. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
It can be tough sometimes on those big fellas against a team that loves to move, but you're going to see it right here. Really obvious flinch, a little bit of motion. You're trying to decipher against a team that is as versatile and multiple as Florida is defensively. Offensively, you want to shift, you want to motion, you want to get and gain some of those tells, but it makes it hard on the big boys up front at times to hold their water.
True Wilson for a couple of yards. It'll be 3rd down and 8. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the only junior to declare himself eligible for the NFL draft for the Gators. And unlike some of those players from Michigan, he's playing today.
Yep, he's a good one. 3rd leading tackler. That 2nd level of the defense for the Gators. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, right there at that level. And he plays that nickel linebacker spot that's become so important at the NFL level.
Florida rushes 5. Shea Patterson out of the pocket. He's going to try and run for it. Reaches the ball out short of the line to gain. C.J. Henderson made the stop. It'll be 4th down, and Michigan will have to kick it away.
Ooh, that is a good tackle by C.J. We saw him earlier on a 3rd down blitz. A corner blitz right there. That one comes from the field in the one-on-one situation. Many times you'll see a quarterback pump fake like that, and it hesitates, causes just a second of hesitation by that defender, and they cannot make that tackle short of the sticks. Big time from the 2nd team all-conference corner.
Freddie Swain is a very good punt return man. You can see averaging over 10 yards per return. Will Hart with a wobbly kick. And it's going to take a sideways hop out of bounds and give Florida pretty good field position. 10:08 to go before halftime here in Atlanta. 4 Eastern, of course, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Notre Dame and Clemson. Those are your 4 playoff teams. And looking at all of the bowl games, I think I only saw 4 double-digit point spreads in all of the bowl games, 2 of those in the playoff games. Do you think Notre Dame or Oklahoma has a chance to pull off an upset?
Yeah, I think that first one in particular.
LaMichael Pirine into the secondary and across midfield.
And for the first time, really, those guys up front getting a hat on people, Allison.
Florida continuing to try and correct some things on the offensive line, especially up the middle where Michigan slants are getting home. They've got to shore up that A-gap. Coach Mullen telling them they can force them around to loop around the outside. They got to be better up the middle.
Well, Pirine looking for room in the A-gap and has to dodge tacklers just to pick up a hard-working 2 yards. Khaleke Hudson eventually got him down.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of movement here. Don Brown said he may flirt with a little 3-down look. Something that he's not done much this year, but he did against the Gators last year. As of now, I've not seen a ton of that. I think actually this may be one of the first series. You do see that 3-down lineman look. So they too trying to mix just a little bit and change that just personnel scheme and tendency.
They blitz Khalid Hudson here, and he's around the ankles of Felipe Franks. May have drawn a flag. Felipe Franks gets out of the pocket and is able to scramble forward, but a flag thrown in the offensive backfield. Noah Furbush was part of a blitzing group for Michigan as well.
Yeah, I think they're going to call that on P. Ryan for throwing down Hudson.
Holding. Offense, number 22. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, second down.
So here's this little 3-down look. And again, this is something Don's not done much. But look at the challenge it's going to create. Who's going to come here out of that group? And eventually it's going to be Hudson on the outside. And you will see P. Ryan with the throwdown right there by the feet. That's going to draw the penalty. But a little different again. You've seen some things offensively from both sides. You know, showing a look you have it. Now you get back down to that 4-down front, just trying to change the picture for the coordinator and the quarterback.
Franks crossing right underneath, and Kadarius Toney is wrapped up and thrown down by Metellus. No gain, got him basically right at the line. So now it's 3rd down and a mile. 3rd and 18 for Florida.
And I like Toney. You can see he's frustrated. He rips that mouth guard out of his mouth. He wants just a little bit of space. Now this is going to be a big time player in the years to come. He is Percy Harvin light. He's not quite the 6th gear that Percy had, but he's a playmaker and he wants more room to operate.
Malik Hudson showing blitz again. Drops into coverage. Franks hurls one down the sideline looking for Toney, and it's incomplete.
I'll tell you what's interesting here, and again, you're just nitpicking on these movement plays. He decides to throw it to the outside, but if Felipe looks inside here, that is going to be the throw. The opportunity is not to the outside. He puts that ball about the 5-yard line on that hash mark. He's got 6. That will come. Trust me. I've seen massive growth, as has Dan Mullen this year from Felipe. And now just as you're moving and you're getting out of that pocket to find it's easier to grow in full field awareness from the pocket. Moving outside, that's the next step.
Flags fly as Michigan jumped. Were they drawn off?
False start. Kicking team number 51. It's a 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
That's still 2 times, though, Brock, we have seen Felipe Franks miss a touchdown. He had Kadarius Toney wide open on a scramble. The one trip they got goal to go inside the 10-yard line, or inside the 5-yard line, I should say. And that's a tough throw to make. It's a deep throw, but that's still a touchdown if you execute. Michigan blocks the punt. And they'll be set up at the Florida 30-yard line. It looks like Jamarick Woods got it.
You just can't do it any better than that as he sticks his hand out at just the last second. You see the shuffle into it. And how many times do you see guys blocking kicks or blocking punts and just overrun it? I mean, he's not even that clearly past his defender, but he sticks his hand out. I mean, we have seen some epic timing. Stop a 4th down, and that time perfect timing from the sophomore to make a huge game-changing play.
After sudden change, teams sometimes like to take a shot. Patterson in the shotgun, and they're going to run a counter handoff to Chris Evans. He doesn't have much, and we've got an injured Gator. Slow to get up was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
And he makes that play because there was quite a bit of green grass. That was a cool little wrinkle. It sure looked like on the setup of that, and you're anticipating, I think, Florida there to be over-aggressive. Right? Again, that's the chess match that Harbaugh's thinking. Grantham's thinking, I'm going to take a shot, probably wants to come after me. And you expect them to be outside their containment, and Gardner-Johnson is not.
I think the officials took Gardner-Johnson off the field as he was slow to get up, and it looked like he was trying.
Ooh.
to stay on the field. Took a shot from Chris Evans. 2nd down and 8. Patterson in trouble, and he goes down. Kyrie Campbell with a bull rush for the sack.
It was a nice little line stump between the two of those. Between Zuniga, the defensive end that comes in, and there's some of the growth of Campbell. I'll tell you what, though, Shea is much more athletic than that. That's a play for Shea Patterson that instead of just fleeing the pocket, slide, step up, and find more opportunity.
What a big play here. 3rd down and 14 after the block punt. Can the Gators get the stop? They'll rush 4. Patterson in trouble. The ball comes out sideways. The officials have not blown that play dead. They're going to call that a fumble. Christian Turner gets taken down at about the 30-yard line. Some of those Gator players did not react to that ball on the ground like it was a fumble, or they may have been able to recover it. And after all is said and done, looks like a field goal opportunity. Ja'Kai Polite just turned away from the football.
Oh, that's a fumble. There is no question about it. His hand is not moving forward at all. Polite rips that ball out. Another sack fumble. Add that to the list of Polite, but better awareness for Michigan to salvage the field goal opportunity.
So Jake Moody, the backup kicker to Quinn Nordin, from long distance. Got it.
Polite. You're going to watch him at the end of this play as the ball's on the ground right here. And he is running away from the ball. You can see that his head is elsewhere, and a true freshman on the other side is the one to pick it up and then have the awareness to get these 7 yards to even give yourself the opportunity to get that field goal. If you're Polite right there, the coaching point is, listen, you don't ever wonder what they're going to call. You make sure and you think that that is a fumble, and you find a way as best you can to get on top of it. But he and Jefferson, tremendous pressure off that edge, and why you can't live in those 3rd and long down distances against these Gators.
So a couple of misses from Felipe Franks. That time Polite not being aware of the football as Franks finds Van Jefferson on a slant here. Those are points that have been left on the field here in the first half for Florida.
There's no question the first one. I will give you that. That is a play that Felipe can make. I know why he didn't throw the second, because you're taught from day one, don't throw it late down the middle. Don't throw it late down the middle. But it is just, again, that overall awareness of everything that's going on the field.
Quarterback keeper. Felipe Franks gets a block and gets into the secondary. Inside the Michigan 40 before he's brought down at the Wolverines' 38-yard line. That's a 31-yard run for Franks.
And he's capable of this. And if I'm Dan Mullen, I can't encourage him anymore. Right? Continue to grow and trust yourself, Felipe. That has been the big theme in Gainesville this year. Block out any of that noise and continue to trust the people around you and yourself. And the more you do as a runner, the more this offense will explode.
Looks like the clock was stuck.
The clock did not start on the previous 2 plays. Please set the game clock to 5:10. 5:10 and wind the clock on my signal.
Jim Blackwood is our referee here in the booth. And Jim, they keep the time on the field as well just to make sure they can correct this.
The guy that's watching the game clock keeps it subconsciously, and when he sees it doesn't start, then he makes a mental note. He tells him how much time's on the clock.
So they take about 45 off the clock, under 5 minutes to go in the half. Jordan Scarlett down to about the 32-yard line. And between Scarlett and Lamichael Pirine, so nice to hear 2 guys that could easily be the featured back, almost with identical statistics. And yet Dan Mullen said you never hear from one or the other about I should be in the game. They just cheer for each other.
And most indicative, if one takes him down the field, that he's willing to come off the field and give the other guy the opportunity to get 6. That is selfless. And I'll tell you what else, that little run by Felipe Franks, that helps open up the door and a little hesitation for those defenders in that zone read game.
He's got one-on-one down the sideline, looking for the back shoulder of Jefferson. And it's broken up by Brandon Watson. And I think the Michigan fans were looking for a flag. They might have thought offensive pass interference. Gator fans are upset too.
No, hands are on each other. The eyes are back. There is not a penalty there. Watson does exactly his job. His job in that press coverage is to get that receiver offline. If they're both hand fighting, you're not impeding him. Your eyes are back to the quarterback. There is no need to call that penalty. That is the right call.
Love doing a game where two fan bases are so well represented and they're all unhappy. 3rd down and 5.
They know their football in these two markets.
Big play here. They're going to run it with Scarlett. He gets outside. He's got the first down. Dragged down by Khalid Hudson. A gain of 8.
And I'll tell you what, that may be a play, and Khalid makes it. But those are one of the plays that you have gotten used to watching Michigan football and number 10 flash out of nowhere. Like, where in the world did Devin Bush come from? How did that guy just clean up everything out on the perimeter? Khalid makes the tackle, but he can't make the 3rd down stop.
Felipe Franks in trouble. Down he goes. Devin Gill was the first Wolverine there. And with 3:36 to go before halftime, it looks like we've got an injured player. That's Michael Dwumfor. 20-yard line, Devin Gill, and now Devin Gill is slow to get up. That almost looks like a cramp, like he's holding the back of his leg. So a team that's already down Devin Bush, their best linebacker, and a player that Todd McShay has right now at number 10 on his big board. So you got a top 10 NFL draft eligible linebacker you're missing, and now Devin Gill, the junior, also shaken up. It's thinning out a linebacking core that it's kind of the heart and soul of this defense.
Yeah, in that front 7. Rashawn Gary is going to be a 1st-round pick, because he is so freakishly athletic. He is out as well in that front 7 with Devin Bush, and that's not a good sign. That looks like even a little bit more than a cramp. I think I was with you originally. And that's probably going to bring Noah Furbush on the field. But yeah, Bush, there's no question. In fact, he'd be a guy on that play in particular that is so good sideline to sideline. Bushel Beatty has been a guy that's been banged up at the end of the year. He decided and made the decision not to play in this game. Gary's been in and out of the lineup this year, and obviously Karan Higdon, 1st team all-conference 1,000-yard rusher. Number of Wolverines out, but I will say this: the guys that are here, there's no shortage of effort. These guys are playing relentlessly here in the first half.
Big play, 3rd down, right on the door of the red zone. Quarterback draw. Felipe Franks, 1st down and more. How about the end zone? How about a Florida touchdown?
And mom loving it. And they ran this earlier. There was a check with me situation. I highlighted how the safety came down and made the tackle. But look at it. It's the same look, 4 to the bottom, and it leaves really no linebackers in there other than this. This is the one guy you got to beat. That is it. You have got to make one guy miss. It is 5-on-5 in that situation. A tremendous block at the 2nd level. And Franks, I said to you last night, chance to be the leading rusher in this game, and he absolutely is right now.
The Gators have a 3-point lead. Still plenty of time for Michigan. All 3 timeouts and 2:41 on the clock. You know, it's almost like you spend time preparing for these games, because you said yesterday, after watching the tape of both defenses, that you thought quarterback run was going to be the deciding factor.
Well, you've got 2 excellent teams, 2 veteran coaches that are really good schematically, and you just start to take a look and say, well, where do I have an advantage? Where can I gain an advantage in this? Man, these corners are good. Every level of this defense is good. I'll tell you what, if Felipe decides to run against a group that plays so much man-to-man and will dare you, that front and that look right there is daring Felipe Franks and Dan Mullen to run the football. And 70 yards later and a touchdown in his pocket, that's exactly what the Gators QB has done.
The Indeed halftime reports coming up shortly. Reese Davis, David Pollack, Desmond Howard. They'll be at South Beach with some playoff predictions, keys to the Orange and Cotton Bowls. And obviously a look around some of the bowl highlights of the day as well. Ronnie Bell watches it go. Again, the question with the Clemson game, can you block this group?
That's exactly right. Speaking of a group that had very little weaknesses, and it all starts up front. Christian Wilkins, a guy that can beat you one-on-one, but where Brent Venables and this crew, and we saw him earlier this year, is just so dangerous is they're so veteran in those line stunts. For Notre Dame, that's had to replace a couple All-American offensive linemen, done a nice job, and Ian Book is an athletic guy. But to me, handling just both in one-on-one situations and then as a collective defensive line group, even minus Dexter Lawrence, will be the big challenge for Brian Kelly this afternoon.
Shea Patterson set to go to work from his own 25. He has hit his last 6 completions in a row. And he'll go play action here. Looking downfield, long throw to the sideline. Perfectly timed to Donovan Peoples-Jones.
That is right over the outstretched fingertips to Gardner Johnson. Nickel linebacker who is declared for the draft knows what's coming. He is watching the eyes the whole way. He is anticipating that comeback right behind him, but a game of inches again goes away the Wolverines. Beautiful throw.
Screen, Peoples-Jones. Out of bounds at the 43. Gain of 4. And it was Gardner Johnson that bumped him out. Off to Chris Evans. Easily picks up the first down. And if you're Michigan here, you should be in no rush. Minute 55, you've got all 3 timeouts. There's really no reason not to huddle up. Why leave Florida anytime? Tariq Black. So often fighting injury. It's good to see him back on the field.
Yeah, I think this is not necessarily like a game management, Bob, as much as it is, I don't want Florida to dictate. I want to keep a front out there. I want to keep a group out there. I'm tired of all their blitzing and mixing personnel, and this tempo, I think, is more used for that right now than it necessarily is just a 2-minute drill.
Evans brought down right at the line of scrimmage. May have lost a yard. Now it will be 3rd down with Polite and C.J. Henderson combining on the stop. Now Michigan will call a timeout before 3rd down with 1:13 on the clock. Sunday NFL Countdown has you covered. The final week of the regular season tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Lamar Jackson takes on Baker Mayfield in basically what amounts to a playoff game, and how Jackson went from high school star to Heisman winner to one of the NFL's breakout players this year. And as the Chargers fight for a 1 seed, on Inside the Lines look at how Phillip Rivers has become the NFL's biggest trash-talking quarterback. That's been going on for a while. Plus images of the year in the NFL, all that tomorrow on Sunday NFL Countdown.
Well, you asked me about Lamar Jackson before the game, and I love what Jim Harbaugh said to us yesterday. You know, our esteemed producer, Jimmy Zaroli, and it was awesome yesterday in our meeting, said to Jim, hey, do you ever look at Shea and feel like you're watching yourself? Because he plays the game in much the same vein that Jim did when he wore those colors. And Jim said, well, there's really 2 things that I look for in a quarterback, and I think Shea does that. Number 1, be confident. Like Lamar Jackson, like Shea Patterson, you've got to be confident. And 2, then you have got to have the others just gain confidence and belief in you. So you yourself got to be confident. Get everybody to believe in you. That is certainly what number 2 did when he arrived on campus, what Jim Harbaugh did, and he'll elicit even further trust if he can find a 3rd and 7 right here.
A big 3rd down. Underthrown, but Nico Collins is there to scoop it up. And that is good for a 1st down, a gain of 9.
And that was an NFL concept right there. That is trying to bust the little tandem coverage of Florida out there to the field. They do it. He threw that thing early. May have been a little bit behind, but a critical 3rd down conversion.
4-man rush. That ball tipped and incomplete. Off the fingertips of Grant Perry. Stops the clock with 51 seconds to go in the half. And Michigan still with plenty of time with the 2 timeouts.
You know, we had Shea at Ole Miss a couple years ago, and I don't remember him showing so much emotion. And I love it. You know, and I think his head coach has brought some of that out. He wants him to be structured and to be an intense practice player and everything that's naturally with him. But you watch him, even after that play right there, he's got high kicking, and he knows, man, he wants his team to feed off his juice.
Up the middle, it's True Wilson. And let's see if Michigan calls another timeout here before 3rd down to 42 seconds to go. Jabari Zuniga made the stop for the Gators. They're going to let the clock wind, and they're going to hurry up with 33 seconds to go in the half. Another big 3rd down.
You better block 99.
A lot of time coming off the clock. 20 seconds to go in the half, and now Shea Patterson's going to call a timeout. Well, they're just barely in what they would say is field goal range with the strength of Jake Moody's leg in a dome. And ESPN Plus is your home for more sports, more schools, more conferences, more ESPN. Start your free trial today by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com.
And never been more important in this bowl season, man. Has there been all the bowl games, and that app has been overused on my phone as you take a look at Moody, who's been perfect. And that was kind of an interesting. He's walking this line as Harbaugh right now. To your point, don't give Florida the ball back here. Gained a little bit of momentum. Felipe Franks is finding his footing. A bunch of yards rushing. Do not give them the ball back. Yet also give yourself enough time, if you get this 3rd down conversion, to still take a shot to the end zone. Especially the big receivers that have won those one-on-one matchups outside.
Well, running the ball straight up the middle on 2nd down with about 50 seconds to go in the half, and taking the clock all the way down under 20 seconds. This might take any chance to go to the end zone off the board.
And you cannot take a sack. Not to think negatively and put those thoughts in, but you have to manage this line of scrimmage right now if you're Shea Patterson.
Yeah, sack takes them out of field goal range. Pump fake. Patterson wants a deep shot down the sideline. Incomplete. Intended for Peoples-Jones.
That was really good coverage everywhere by the Gators. As that play extended, they call it defensively plastering, making sure you find that receiver down the field. Nowhere to go with the ball.
So Jake Moody has a very strong leg. He committed to Michigan without a scholarship, but in high school made field goals of 55 or more yards 3 times as a high school kicker. So he's got the leg from 52. But doesn't quite have the direction. He launched it, but missed the left upright. So it looks like Florida will have the lead at halftime, and they'll have the ball to start off the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, there was no shortage of leg strength here. First miss of his career, a 52-yarder. Certainly no gimme there. Kind of the game we expected coming in, I think. Been some huge situations in 3rd down and red zone. I think if you're Dan Mullen, you liked some of the way that Felipe kept his composure and made some plays with his legs. And if you're Michigan and Shea Patterson, you know there's going to be opportunities to hit some one-on-ones outside in this 2nd half.
Felipe Franks' touchdown run gave Florida the lead, and it's a lead they will take into the locker room at halftime, as Michigan is trying to win a Felipe Franks in the 1st half.
Yeah, you got 9 rushing attempts, and many of those are the design variety. More rushing attempts, in fact, than completions for Felipe, and that's a good thing. There were explosive plays off of it. Much of it was determined on the box count, especially this red zone touchdown run that provided their breakthrough after 2 field goals and settling for him, and I love it. 6'6", 240-pounder. He's adept. He's capable of doing more of that, and there was a real commitment in the first 30 minutes. And I think there will be in these next 30 minutes, too.
Franks up the seam. Incomplete for Van Jefferson. Allison.
Well, you guys showed how effective Felipe Franks was running the ball in that first half. So I asked Jim Harbaugh, how do you stop their quarterback run? He said, we have to do a better job of keeping our rush lanes on the quarterback draw play, and we need all of our guys rallying to tackle the quarterback. But it's not going to get any easier for Michigan defensively. In that front seven, a group that's already thin, linebacker Devin Gill remains in the locker room. He is being evaluated, unlikely to return, as is defensive end Kwity Paye. So a tough 2 losses potentially for them if they can't come back.
And there goes Felipe Franks. He picks up a couple out across the 15 to about the 17-yard line. So it'll be 3rd down and 7. And when you thin out that front 7 without Rashawn Gary and Devin Bush, as we've been talking about as well, it's going to be a test for Don Brown in the second half.
Your backups to backups, and even more important for that Michigan offense to limit possession, shorten this game when they get a chance to run the football better.
Haven't called Chase Winovich's name at all as of yet either. Number 15 down rushing the passer here as Franks finds a crosser. Trayvon Grimes has a first down. We have a flag thrown on the far side of the field at the line of scrimmage.
Illegal motion. Offense, number 8. In motion toward the line of scrimmage. The 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay 3rd down.
And Coach Mullen doesn't like it, but that was Trayvon who ended up on the completion, and you've got to go straight. Anytime you start to lean towards the line of scrimmage, you are going to get this penalty, and you see it. He knows what he's got. He's trying to create the separation on that shallow cross. He breaks the tackle there of Josh Ross to get that first down. You've got to have tremendous discipline. Anytime those line judges are looking down that line of scrimmage, they watch that motion, you start to lean towards it, move forward, you're going to draw that penalty flag.
That's a big call. Wipe away a 3rd down conversion, and now it's 3rd and 12. Felipe Franks, conservative with the run call, and Michigan could get very good field position to start off the 3rd quarter. And there is Winovich getting the tackle.
And it was Uche as well. It was both of them. They were all involved. All eyes on Felipe Franks. And to me, that's got to be the adjustment that Chase and crew make in the second half. You have got to make Felipe and these Gators beat you down the field. You saw that early pass, that seam route, a little bit more air. There'd been opportunity. I've got to make Franks beat me with my arm if I'm the Wolverines.
Tommy Townsend with a wobbly kick. Donovan Peoples-Jones fields it on a hop, and it will be very good field position at the 48-yard line for Michigan. Notre Dame is a big underdog to Clemson in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, and the team just arriving at Jerry's World, having a team huddle at midfield before they go to the locker room to get geared up for semifinal number 1. How about Brock's breakdown, the chance that Notre Dame has to win this game?
You're going to have to handle, if you're Clemson, the tempo and some of the in-books creativity. You got to win your one-on-one perimeter matchups because you know Notre Dame will be committed. You just saw their D coordinator in the middle of that huddle, committed to stopping the run. And then if you're Notre Dame, explosive plays against elite defenses, explosive plays, and obviously tackle defensively is always critical.
Christian Turner picked up 1.5 yards.
And I expect the tackling to sharpen up in this game. You know, you could say that every game. Oh, you got to tackle in space. You got to tackle in space. You've heard it once, Bob. You've heard it 100 times. But when you've had a layoff and you've not done a ton of live tackling, and I thought both coaches made a good point to us yesterday, saying with that early recruiting period too, right? It puts even more demands to get everything in and done. I think tackling will be pretty crisp here in the second half and in the games that follow us.
Shea Patterson just shy of the first down line to gain Nico Collins. And he actually, with his own momentum, brought himself back towards the line of scrimmage to pick up 6. So it is a full 3rd down and 2 as Trey Dean made the stop.
And if I'm Shea Patterson, I'm not leaving this building without number 4 and 9 being a huge factor. They made plays for you on out routes, on go routes, on fade stops, on touchdowns. Those two over the remaining 26 minutes of this game. I am not leaving this game where I'm trying to change the narrative playing top 10 teams without those two playing a major role.
Under Jim Harbaugh, Michigan is 1-8 against the AP top 10. Florida coming after Patterson, and he's got the first down. O'Shawn Joseph made the stop, but Shea Patterson picked up 5.
And those are the plays he has to make with his legs. Now 5 of 10 on third downs, and the recipe's simple. If you're going to beat Florida in their 3 losses, the opponent's offense 62% in that down and distance. In their 9 wins, about 28%. That conversion and Shea's willingness to take that hit, exactly what you're going to have to do here.
Play action. Patterson looking downfield. He wants the deep one for Collins. Intercepted. Picked off all the way down at about the 5-yard line. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson with a convoy. Let's see where they mark him out.
Well, the only Gator going pro after this game has made his presence known. Gardner-Johnson's played a wonderful nickel corner for them. And right here, he totally fools Shea Patterson pre-snap. This looks like it's going to be a single safety look that he's going to get his post route, right? You got this safety to worry about. Well, watch what Chauncey does. Look at where he's at. He's right here, and he spins all the way back around. He totally bluffed Shea Patterson. I can't tell you how good that is. And he knows patience-wise. He doesn't do it right away. He wants to make sure to really set that hook for Shea. Let him think that he's got that post behind him, and he spins around. Oh, wow, you want to talk about awareness, Mr. Wischusen? That's about as good as it gets.
Michigan only gave the ball away 10 times this season. Best in the Big Ten, number 6 in America. But that giveaway, setting up Felipe Franks in plus territory. And now behind the line, it's Chase Winovich. A tackle for a loss of 3. Boy, just after we said we had not heard much from Winovich in the first half, he's made a couple of big plays here in the third quarter, Allison.
Yeah, and while Chase Winovich chose to play in this game while some of his teammates did not, he admitted that that decision hurt him. And while he respects that it ultimately wasn't the right decision for him, he will require surgery after this season due to injuries. But guys, he said, you'd have to kill me to get me not to play.
You love hearing that. 2nd and 13. 5-man rush. Slant. Van Jefferson makes it 3rd and manageable. He's about 5 yards shy of a first down.
Sudden change. What are you going to do here defensively? These are these situations too. Your offense turns it over. The huge play. The stadium's alive, and you can really quiet a lot of that momentum if you can stop Dan Mullen and what he's calling on that play sheet right here.
And a blitz. LaMichael Pirine makes the catch, reaches the ball out. He's short. It's 4th down and 1 at the 35-yard line, and it looks like Florida will go for it. That's
a really good trade-off. The 2 DBs there actually don't just stick to their man. They pass that route off, and more importantly, make the tackle to set up this critical 4th and 1.
Play clock down to 13 as Felipe Franks looks over. Josh Ross and Kamaric Woods were both there pursuing Felipe Franks.
I think the big fella's into this. He kind of likes some of this contact.
And that was Woods. That laid a lick on Franks, so now 2nd down and goal from the 5.
And this has been the big quarterback. QB run has been the most successful, trying to spread him out and see that box count if it's any different, and creates the opportunities for him to run.
Finds Pirine for a walk-in touchdown. for Michigan.
Two things to look at on that touchdown. Number one is going to be box count here. This is the same formation, but this time look at the numbers here of Michigan. You've got 6 defenders in the box. So that means I've got one-on-one situations, and what you got to watch here is that block. And that block is legal. Why? Because that ball is caught behind the line of scrimmage. That's our former quarterback, Mr. Tony. He's taking 2, so his buddy Pete Ryan can catch with some space and get it in the end zone. If that ball is past the line of scrimmage, well, that's penalty. Thrown behind, and again in a game of just inches and execution, done perfectly by the Gators.
And it results in a touchdown that stretches this to a 2-possession lead for the Gators. Christian Turner on a cutback, and he fought his way forward for about a half-yard.
Boy, and there's been very little for these running backs today. And I don't think this is a Karan Higdon is out. Oh my gosh, you're missing all of his explosiveness. This is much more about that Gator crew on early downs, really the penetration and resetting that line of scrimmage.
Michigan has run for 160 yards or more 11 games in a row, and they have at least 1 rushing touchdown in every game this season. They've only rushed for 64 yards so far today. And they stay committed to the run game with a lot of time left on the clock. They go empty here. Patterson dropped. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
Well, that is what Florida wants you to do. They want to get a lead, and then they want Polite and crew to tee off on you. Their line games, their blitzes, their disguise coverages that they got Shea on last time. They want to make you, as any great defense does, one-dimensional, and listen to this place erupt on 3rd and extra long.
Gators bring a blitz. Patterson in trouble. Down he goes. The true freshman Amari Burney gets the sack as Florida wins the numbers game.
And they cover him up on the back end. I mean, there is nowhere for Shea to go with the football. They're freed front. I would love to draw all 10 offensive linemen. A bunch of them going to be playing in the NFL for a long time. That set the table for those guys to do their damage.
And now who sets the table for Michigan, missing some of their strongest voices on their team, not playing in this Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and now down by 10. Felipe Franks down the sideline, well underthrown for Van Jefferson. Now it's 3rd down and 13. Or 3rd down and at least 12.
And he's on the ground again in Glasgow and Khalid Hudson. And I think the mindset here at Don Brown against Felipe Franks, and I think also just feeling this game out, is you got to make something happen. Defensively, you have got to force the issue and see against a team that's been really good this season, plus 10, coming in turnover margin. If you can find a way, I think, change the temperature in this building with a takeaway.
Now the Michigan fans sense how important this play is. Five-man rush. Franks well protected. He's going to take a seam shot. He's got Josh Hammond. A big play on 3rd down and a long 12 in between Lavert Hill and Josh Metellus. 30-yard gain.
I will tell you what, Bobby, he may have missed a couple throws early in this game, but on a 3rd down, this is as gutsy and as mentally tough a throw as you're going to see. Look at where he throws it. He decides to make this throw right into that double coverage. You know, Dan Mullen talked a lot yesterday about trust. I'm telling you, when he lets that thing go, look at the coverage. You got inside, outside coverage. If you're Don Brown, you got exactly what you want, and you're thinking when he throws it, this may be a takeaway. This may be our chance to get exactly what we need, and instead, Metellus sees that ball whiz right by his ear. That's a big-time throw.
And David Long is down and injured as well. So our opportunity now to check in with Chris Cotter.
Okay, Bob Brock, let's check in on the Belk Bowl up in Charlotte, Virginia and South Carolina. Bryce Perkins for the 2nd time today finds Alameda Zacchaeus 21-0 Hoos. Watch out for Virginia and Bronco Mendenhall next year. This game over on ABC.
That's good as Long comes off the field. But the story of a lot of this season down in Gainesville has been their quarterback. And I agree with Dan Mullen. Playing QB at Florida may just be one of the toughest places outside of Notre Dame you could play. 3 Heisman Trophy winners all have statues outside their stadium. The expectation level is off the charts. And what Dan wanted from Felipe more than anything was just trust. Trust him, trust the system, and ultimately trust his skill set. And that throw on a critical 3rd down and letting that thing rip, circle that one. That was enormous.
Scarlett for a couple of yards. Well, that seminal moment for Felipe Franks was when he was benched in the Missouri loss. He was 9 of 24, 84 yards. They lost by 21 the week after they thought they had a chance to beat Georgia. And Kyle Trask came in. And then right after the Missouri loss, Kyle Trask fractured his foot in practice. So without a doubt, the game and the job went back to Felipe Franks. And over the last 3 games of the season, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 straight wins, 500 yards of offense in every game. Here's Jordan Scarlett down to the 10. And he's inside the 5, knocked down at about the 2.5-yard line. Helps when you have a run game too.
No question. Elevating everybody around you, setting the table and trusting those, trusting the calls, trusting your run game. When your quarterback gets it going in Dan Mullen's system, you watch everybody else flourish. What a run.
Scarlett inside the 2, close to the 1-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
And I'll tell you this, who's going to be the Devin Bush right now? Who's going to be the Rashawn Gary? Who's going to be the voice on this side of the ball right now that says not 1 more inch? Because they put 7 on the board here, and you become one-dimensional offensively. It is going to be a real challenge in this building. Who is going to be that guy that has been your 2-time captain and voice in the middle to stand up and rise to the occasion right now?
Quarterback sneak. They're trying to push Felipe Franks to the goal line. And he is short. R.J. Raymond tried to help on the push. And that's a dangerous spot for Felipe Franks in that rugby scrum to start thinking about reaching the football out.
Yeah, that would be a no-go if that's my quarterback.
Yikes. Start exposing the ball.
That's exactly
like that.
right.
That is dangerous. He may have lost it for a moment. 3rd down and goal from the 1-foot line. Gators break the huddle with 10 on the play clock. A pitch to Jordan Scarlett and a walk-in touchdown.
That's just really good football from that guy that's been doing it at the highest of levels for a long time. Why Dan Mullen was brought here, why that fan base was so excited to have him.
He's not the most vocal guy. He's not a big fire him up type of guy. But as Michigan has struggled and now down 17, he's become more vocal. Spent a lot of time talking to his receivers one-on-one, going over what they're seeing out there, what the coverages are that Florida's presenting. And then he went up and down the offense and he just told his guys, look, we're good. Keep your heads up. We got a lot of time left. It goes back to what Harbaugh said he looks for in a quarterback, a guy that instills confidence in his teammates.
Well, this may be the possession of the game for Michigan. Patterson to the sideline. He's got to hook up with Grant Perry. I mean, Brock, with all the momentum that now has been built by Florida, do you feel like this is a must-have drive for Michigan just to get some points?
Got to get points.
And maybe settle the game down?
You got to make this a 2-score game. That's the only thing you're thinking if you're Shea Patterson. I've got to get points, period, end of story. Whatever it is going to take to do so. And finding completions will be the best way against this Gator defense.
Keeps it underneath to Nico Collins again, and Collins has a step. Good start to the drive for Michigan. 2 snaps and they're near midfield.
I think that was always the philosophy of whether it was Tom Moore in Indianapolis or Mike Holmgren in the West Coast system. When you play in groups like this defensively, they want to dictate. They want to bring lots of blitzes and personnel. Is just find completions, no matter what they are. Could be a little flat route or a little smoke route or whatever. Just find completions so you start to dictate the tempo.
Peoples-Jones dives forward close to midfield. He picked up a couple of yards.
And I think that thought of trying to be patient, right, and attack the body, it didn't work. Okay, and you're in round 10 now, and you're down on that scorecard, and you're down on it big. It doesn't mean you become reckless whatsoever. It does mean maybe those inside runs and those body blows become a whole lot less evident.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson just limped off the field, holding his left leg. Handoff here to True Wilson. Across midfield, it'll be 3rd down and 5.
Well, and there's your between the tackles run, and that's what it's looked like. You know, your running backs today about 45 yards. That's it. That is it. You have not been able to hit a crease. You've not been able to change the line of scrimmage. And now you put yourself in an awfully big 3rd and 5.
Patterson on the slant. Tariq Black, 1st down and more. A big 3rd down conversion for Michigan.
Boy, that was sure thrown with some authority, and that was a good little rub route right there. And a nice job by Michigan's receivers in that 3-by-1 set. The inside slot receiver does just enough to get in the way of that defender, and there was no hesitancy whatsoever with Shea Patterson. That was the fastball that Harbaugh was looking for.
And it must have been a cramp for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for Florida, because he was trying to get back on the field. And this might be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Down to 10 seconds to go in the quarter. Christian Turner picks up 5 to 4th quarter and get back in the game. Shea Patterson flips one wide open in the flat. Zach Gentry, and the tight end is able to pull his way down to about the 21-yard line. Brad Stewart stood him up. That's a Michigan 1st down.
And that is why you are still a little bit committed to that inside run. You've done it a couple times, right? And you do that to set that kind of play action pass up. And watch the safeties for Florida. They're going to tell you an awful lot here in the final 15 minutes of how they're going to navigate Todd Grantham, the D coordinator, of just how aggressive he is going to be. And you see that 2 safety look back there. Watch the movement of those guys. They are the biggest tell when it comes to how conservative or how much pressure they're going to bring.
Patterson, play action, has a one-on-one towards the end zone. Looking for Collins, incomplete, flag out. The true freshman Trey Dean. He was the man in coverage.
Pass interference. Defense number 21. 15-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
You know, we had a look earlier, Brandon Watson on the Michigan side that found the football. Yeah, there was some contact, but he got his head around and he didn't impede. And I think what you're calling here is just that arm that is just pushing that receiver, totally impeding them, and then having no awareness or impact on the ball. It is that arm. That's what those back judges are looking for, riding the receiver out of bounds. That's what drew the penalty.
Chris Evans inside the 5, flag thrown from the end zone. Another tackle for Brad Stewart.
holding offense, number 71. It's a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay second down.
Again, without Jawan Bushelbaty at right tackle, he wasn't there for the Ohio State game. Opted to not try and play in the bowl game. So that's Andrew Stuber, the backup. That's his second penalty of the game. And Brock, how does this change things now? First and goal from the 16.
Where is number 4 Collins? Where is number 9 Peoples-Jones? I have got to, in the next 3 plays, find a way to get them the football.
Nico Collins at the bottom of your screen. That's Tariq Black at the top of your screen. Shea Patterson out of the pocket. Runs out of bounds. He picked up a couple of yards. It was Ja'Kai Polite that forced him out. Second and goal now from the 14.
Well, I'll tell you this, Todd Grantham knows, right? Look at this combo coverage down here. You can beat me a couple times, but I'm going to commit to taking that away. And then if you're Shea Patterson, after that interception, you're a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie, because that was such a tremendous play that turned this game from Gardner Johnson. You may not just be as quick to pull the trigger the way that these Florida Gators on the back end are reading your eyes and coming off the routes.
He wants the outside throw to Peoples-Jones, and he's got it. Now they're back to about the 6-yard line. Trey Dean drove him back. It'll be third down and goal. They'll put the ball at the 8.
And you know Dan Mullen on the other side against Jim Harbaugh is going to maximize that clock. And this drive taking a fair amount of time. Not surprised to see the blitz and the pressure come down. And just look at the body language difference. Jim Harbaugh is ready to go play. Dan Mullen just loves to watch his team compete.
Fade to Tariq Black. He's got it. That is a Michigan touchdown. Right over the top of C.J. Henderson.
Well, Allison reported it. It was Shea down on that sideline. You minus some of your voices, some of your captains and leaders, and it was Shea. It was in the ear of everybody. And he backed it up. He backed that talk up with some dimes right there. And does he possess the ball? Ooh. I think Tariq pins that ball early to his helmet. You're going to take another look or 2 or 3 at this, because I think that comes out upon contact.
Under further review.
And look at Tariq Black's body language right there.
He knows it.
He does.
He knows when he hit the ground, the ball came loose, and that he didn't hold on all the way through. And give C.J. Henderson some credit for competing all the way to the deck and knocking that ball free. This is going to create a very interesting question for Michigan. Would you think about going for it on 4th and goal from the 8, or you have to make sure you get a field goal here to make this a 2-possession game?
I think you got to
with 12:20 on the clock.
I think you got to make it a 2-possession game.
I agree. I would kick it.
As many as your defenders that you have out on that side as well. And you can hear the Florida faithful that are watching on the jumbo screens here.
The ball can hit the ground as long as you determine that the receiver has complete control and possession all the way down to the ground. Well, that certainly didn't look like he had complete control.
After reviewing the play, the receiver went to the ground and did not maintain possession of the ball. It's an incomplete pass. It'll be 4th down and goal at the 8-yard line on the far hash.
And here comes the field goal group.
Keep your head up, Tariq. A lot of football left to play here. Your team came back from 17 down in Northwestern. I love Shea right there. Not a time to mope. You did the best you could. Unfortunately, just could not survive that contact with the ground.
.26-yard.
And these are the moments where I think Dan Mullen is really good. because he will help manage this game. Yeah, he's got some spread and tempo in his background, but he also knows how to maximize the clock. And I don't expect them to put this ball in the freezer. I expect Dan to continue to work that sheet right there to find ways to get Tony into space, Franks into space, continue to use the box count advantages. Dan Mullen is not one to just shut it down with a 2-touchdown lead.
Michael Pirine, close to the 30-yard line, picks up 4 yards on first down.
There's Dwumfor limping off the field once again. A group that's down Rashawn Gary, that's down Quiddy Payne, that's down Devin Bush, that's down Aubrey Solomon, who transferred out of school, that is down so much personnel that has got to find a way in the last 11 minutes. You see the true freshman there, 97, Hutchinson, to dig deep.
Felipe Franks off play action, throws it away. And now that stops the clock, which helps Michigan and sets up a 3rd down and 6. Clock down to 3. Michigan rushes 5. Wide open down the sideline, making a leaping catch is the tight end Ciante Lewis. That's a Michigan blown coverage at the worst possible time.
And what did Dan Mullen say to us yesterday? He's going to stack his receivers. He's going to try to make it hard on these defenders. They love to play man-to-man, and they try to pass this off, and that is a miss. Those two are trying to communicate, and when 2 are on 1, now that is a simple pitch and catch, and a little bit more of a catch than a better pitch right there, and a tremendous effort.
Franks again off play action, looking to throw. And Michigan is able to get the sack back to midfield. That is a big one for the Michigan defense. And it looks like that's Chase Winovich at the bottom of the pile that got around the ankles of Franks first.
That's exactly who it is. The kid that's going to need surgery following this game. Told Allison you'd have to kill him for him not to play in this, his final game. The 5th-year senior, the MVP of this team. I thought that was telling. On a team of a bunch of wall that is set up, but unfortunately, well, you don't have a quarterback throwing that, and then you've got Khalid Hudson that is just playing his tail off. When I asked earlier, who's it going to be? Who is going to step up and rise to the occasion here with some big voids on this defense? And Mr. Winovich and Mr. Hudson are playing as hard as you can play.
Down by 2 touchdowns, 9.5 minutes to go. A must stop for the Michigan defense. 3rd down and long. And Pirine gets into the secondary at 3rd and 20 and gets into the end zone.
Version in that down and distance plus all season long.
So now it's all 4-down territory, you'd think, with no margin for error for Michigan. As the Gators are late running Luke Ankrum out on the field. Christian Turner. And Michigan has to go hurry up.
Yep.
Down by 3 touchdowns with 9:12 to go. They can't afford to allow any unnecessary time to come off the clock. Patterson underneath. He's got Turner, and Turner's got a first down. Close to midfield.
I could tell in your voice 3rd and 20 and giving up a run for a touchdown was annoying. How about this? How about Khalid Hudson right there? The huge play on the 2nd down trick play. I guess there's some living rooms in Ann Arbor with folks standing up, maybe doing the same thing.
Well, that's what happens when you're a linebacker leader on a defense that's down some voices, and you make the tackle on the trick play to force 3rd down and 20. And then you see that happen for a 53-yard touchdown to blow the game open. Patterson out to the edge. I think there's a pretty good chance Trey Dean knew that one was coming. He was all over Grant Perry.
And there may be a chance in the years to come the true freshman goes and picks that ball. As ball hawking as this group is, #1 in America, and it was the takeaway that changed the whole dynamic of this game. Down 13-10 for Michigan, driving. It was a big interception that really just changed everything. And Trey Dean with a nice tackle there in time. That true freshman, he just jump and pick that ball.
Patterson steps up in the pocket and ends up going down. Adam Schuler, his first full sack of the season.
And there's just nowhere to go. I mean, they are mixing and matching on the back end of this defense, and you can see it in Shea's eyes. He is looking for green grass. He's looking for open defenders, and there is nobody. And you become one-dimensional against the Gators. Why they're 9-3.
Your quarterback takes a sack and then huddles up under 8 minutes to go, down by 3 touchdowns. So much time coming off the clock for Michigan. Another blitz on the way. They set up the screen behind it, and it's knocked down. True Wilson was the target. Voshawn Joseph read it, knocked it away. It's 4th down and 4.
Told him just some of the stuff he did to get better each offseason, how he prepared before the games, how he watched film, something that Lawrence really appreciated, and it's remarkable. You look at their numbers from their freshman season, Manning 8-1, Lawrence 9-0, and both completing about 62% of their passes.
And I would say Peyton Manning probably attributes most of his success to the couple of years that he had Brock Ewert alongside him in the quarterback room in Indianapolis. I'm not sure his career arc goes where it goes without you.
Well, never let the facts get in the way of a good story, Bob.
You know, we did the annihilation of Clemson against Florida State earlier this season, and you drew up a couple of Trevor Lawrence plays from previous games. Just how he gets the ball from point A to point B. His velocity is second to none.
Yeah, I don't know how he's possibly a freshman. I mean, his skill set is so unique.
Florida working on the clock, taking the play clock all the way down inside of 5 before a 3rd down run by Felipe Franks. And he is brought down shy of the first down. Forward progress stopped in the field of play, which is good news for the Gators because that keeps the clock rolling. And they'll be able to take this down. Close to 5 minutes to go in the game before they kick it away.
And look at that T-shirt. It is ripped. It is torn. This is exactly the kind of game that you just anticipated coming in. You're playing the #1 statistical defense in college football, and you put up over 400 yards. Right, this is a guy that has had to deal with a lot of noise and a lot of expectation. And I love the game he's played today. Perfect, but no stretch. Is there still a ton of room for him to grow as a player? Absolutely. But does Dan Mullen love what he's got moving forward? You better believe it. And here on the precipice of a 10th win this season, ending this year in the top 10, and a big block.
Michigan blocks the punt. And it goes through the back of the end zone for a safety.
And that's block number 2 for these Wolverines, and guess who?
It's the leader, Khalid Hudson, making a play on special teams. The second time they have blocked a kick, so that cuts the lead to 34-15.
The only unfortunate thing there for Michigan is there's so much steam as that went out the back of the end zone that you couldn't recover that in play for what could have been a really critical 7. That's how you back up that talk. You know, it's one thing to kick and scream and throw your helmet and do all of that. You know, it's quite another, than to go out there and show that kind of effort.
Still a 3-score lead for Florida. So Michigan is going to have to do a lot of work in the last 5 minutes. About to get the ball back, but down by 19. Let's take a look at our PlayStation Player Index. And Felipe Franks, 74 rushing yards and a touchdown as well. And you said, Brock, at the start of today's game that you thought quarterback run could very well tell the story.
There would just be that opportunity against this scheme. The way they play their numbers is much man-to-man, counting for you, the quarterback. And you take away the sack numbers, he's near 100 yards rushing today. Well over 200 for the Gators, and a Dan Mullen that at the very essence of who he is he wants to run the football, and they've done so today.
Ronnie Bell from the 10. Out to the 30-yard line before he's brought down. How about another Brock breakdown? Let's take a look at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic between Notre Dame and Clemson, and the keys for both teams.
Notre Dame will play with tempo. There's just simply no question. You have to against a defense like them. And Ian Book has got to be Tony Dungy. Going to be Eric Dungy. He has got to create. He's got to make things happen. And then when you get your one-on-one chances, you have got to, if you're Clemson, win those one-on-one perimeter opportunities. For Notre Dame, defensively, explosive plays. Ian and crew have got to find explosive plays, and then you better tackle those Tigers in space. We saw them. Much like you saw a 3rd and 20, much like you saw earlier with Scarlett's run, if you do not tackle Clemson in space, you will have no chance to beat them this afternoon.
Play clock winds all the way down.
Delay game.
That can't happen.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
I mean, that's as inconceivable, I'm sure, to us as it is to the head coach.
Yep.
As off of a change of possession to not get the snap off before the play clock goes to 0. So now it's 1st and 15. Frustrating day for Jim Harbaugh. Jay Patterson tipped ball at the line, and it's intercepted. Gardner Johnson to the house.
So it turns out, Bobby, this Gardner Johnson guy is pretty good. Had the play of the game, in my opinion. His interception earlier, 13-10, a one-score game. And I think he just secured himself with his second, the MVP of this baby.
Got some help from Kyrie Campbell, the big 304-pound sophomore nose tackle. Got the right arm up, got the deflection at the line, and set up the Chauncey Gardner Johnson pick 6. 30-yard return. That might be the type of thing that Notre Dame is going to need to beat a Clemson. You're going to have to get some game-changing plays by your defense. And Brian Kelly, he's an offensive coach. Certainly he knows Dabo Swinney has an unbelievably talented and deep offense as well. But is there any way Notre Dame can win the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic without winning the takeaway?
No, and I think of all of the groups that we're going to see here later this afternoon on the greatest day there is in college football, because you get 2 of them. I know there's a title game coming, but this one you get 2 bites at the apple. Notre Dame's defense doesn't get enough talk. We showed some of the stats of Ian Book, and we look at Oklahoma offense, struggles with their defense. Alabama's balanced on both sides. But Notre Dame defensively this year, just ask Syracuse, who won 10 games. And they knock Eric Dungy out of that game, and that just was not even a contest whatsoever. Yeah, Notre Dame defensively, can you steal a possession? Can you make Trevor Lawrence, who's never been on that stage, just doubt a little bit? And ultimately do what Gardner Johnson has done, make game-changing, stadium-inducing, this emotional plays, and go out and get it done.
(41-15). Florida has the lead against Michigan, and something has to give in Arlington. You've got a Notre Dame offense that averages over 450 yards per game, but Clemson controlling the line of scrimmage all season long with that group up front, 4th in college football in yards allowed.
Oh, you've watched Michigan today. They were giving up 262, number 1 in the FBS. There you see Clemson at number 4 at 276. What has Florida done? They've run it. They've run it in a variety of ways. as you see a Gator that is down, unfortunately, on the field.
That's Ventrell Miller, a backup linebacker. And it looks like they're looking at his right ankle.
But that's how Notre Dame's going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it with a diversity of skill set, much like the Gators have when you're attacking a top 5 defense.
As soon as we are done with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we will crown a winner, and it certainly looks like it's going to be the Florida Gators. That'll be coming up next. It's the Ford post game, and it will be available on the ESPN app.
We sat down as we did with Michigan yesterday, and Jim Harbaugh, Donnie Brown, they can point to those plays against Ohio State. That score looked horrific at the end of it. If all you looked at was the score, but if you watch the tape in that game, about mid-third quarter, about the same time as today, just totally flipped. And a play here and a play there, and then it just was overwhelming. And I think in much the same vein, up 13-10, and not to put this all on Shea, it was much more about Gardner Johnson's incredible defensive effort as he baited him into that pick. And really after that, yeah, it was all Gators and all SEC as we're going to begin those fun debates here in the bowl season.
Patterson up the sideline. That's a nice catch by Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's got a hook up out to the 43. Having some fun on that Gator sideline. Well, you should put in perspective what this season now has become for Florida in Dan Mullen's first year. No one thought that this group was going to put together this kind of a season. You know, sometimes we're talking about, and certainly for Michigan losing the way they did to Ohio State, some disappointment being in this game. There's no disappointment for Florida in their program being in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. They were striving to get up the CFP standings and end up in a New Year's Six game, as Grant Perry is close to a first down. This really is the crowning achievement of their year.
Yeah, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find any analysts, right, that sit in this seat or in the studio and say, hey, tell me about the job Dan Mullen and his staff do. Where do they rank? Todd Grantham defensively, what he does. I mean, you just put the tape on and you just watch it and you look at this team that has bought in, and look at that. Just look at that togetherness of offense, defense. They bought in, but you've got two incredible teachers, I think, on both sides of the ball. And you've really seen that come to life today.
First down for True Wilson. And on the flip side for Michigan, they've got Shea Patterson coming back. They have the lion's share of their offensive line coming back. They definitely feel as if they have a really talented team next year. But for Jim Harbaugh, 4 years in, he will now be 1-9 against teams in the top 10. And once again, can't beat Ohio State. Patterson running away from Polite and throws it away.
Here was the big play. You know, 13-10 in this game, and Michigan is driving. I love the shot and the play action. And I know where Shea gets fooled here. He thinks he's got that post route behind, but look at the savvy junior Gardner Johnson. He just baits him, and not only then baits him, I can tell you how good a play that is. To turn your back like an outfielder, right? That's got to run down in the alley and flip around and turn his back on the ball and then go find it and high point it. And that just really changed things as Florida went down and scores and pounds the ball, and it's 20-10. And you just really felt the momentum fall on the side of the Gators.
Tariq Black, the intended receiver. And that falls incomplete. Well, SportsCenter tonight after the Orange Bowl with SVP. He'll have all the post-game reactions and analysis from Miami. His take on the national championship game. Obviously, the semifinals will be a big topic on SportsCenter. How about the Warriors, though? Looking to end their losing streak on the road in Portland. SportsCenter with SVP after Oklahoma, Alabama on ESPN and the ESPN app later tonight. Patterson spun down back to the 45-yard line. C.C. Jefferson gets a sack.
And that's got to feel good for the senior. Missed the first couple games to begin this season. You know, he was on the sidelines watching that thing, suspended academically for the first two. Watched them lose to Kentucky. Was just so frustrated about that and has really rallied back. And it's just one of these cogs, one of 12 D linemen. Todd Grantham plays that rotates in and out, and once you become one-dimensional, man, you are playing right into that Gator chomp.
On 4th down, Patterson throws it over the head of Peoples-Jones. And at midfield with 2:18 to go, the Gators can just about take a knee and celebrate a 41-15 win over Michigan in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. And we are closing in on kickoff about a half hour from now. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Ian Book will be looking at that monstrous defensive line. And at all 3 levels, a very talented Clemson defense in the first of our college football playoff semifinal games.
Yeah, if he doesn't get help, and that help in the run game, it's going to be a long day. Shea Patterson, 66 yards in the run game. Just about 50 from the running backs was all they could get. As you see, Emory Jones back in the game here, the true freshman for the Gators.
He's going to hand one off to another true freshman, Damian Pierce, and he will pick up a yard.
I'll say this about Michigan, and the whole narrative now is going to be 1-9 and what you got to do this offseason and everything else. And for Jim Harbaugh, to me, you got to find an elite running back. You know, A.J. Dillon was originally committed, a kid out of Boston College that is an absolute monster. And he was originally committed to Ann Arbor, changed that commitment, ended up at BC, has been just a stud for Steve Adazio. That is the guy that you need. Because if you're going to run this system and you're going to be a pro-style system, you have to have, and Karan Higdon had a really nice year, and he was first team all-conference. But I'm talking game changer. The ball goes in his hands, and the breath in the stadium goes every time they touch it. And that is not, well, he just not had that here in his tenure yet at Michigan. Because 2 big receivers, pretty nice. 4 of the starters back on the O-line. I think Shea Patterson's got a ton of skill set.
Yeah, you still have a difference maker at quarterback.
Yes, you do. And he's got a big-time recruiting class. You know, he just got done signing a somewhere between the top 5 and 10 class. But if you're going to run this style and you're going to play this system, you've got to have one unique back.
Damian Pierce brought down from behind by Khaleke Hudson. That'll take us inside of a minute to go.
And he's a little different. He wants everybody, man. All hands on deck, just like it was in Gainesville when he won a couple titles calling plays. Give me 10 or 15 different pieces to put all over the place. And that's got to feel pretty good, new Jordans and all. Those 2 good ones. Grantham and Mullen. Look out, Georgia. Look out, Tennessee. Look out, SEC East. Look out for them in the top 10 next year. No question about it leading into the season.
We'll let Emory Jones run it on 4th down. And he's about a yard shy of a first down, so with 13 seconds to go. And partner, it's been a great year for you, for me, for Allison Williams, and the family that has become our crew. As we really can't tell our group how much we appreciate all the work they have done to make us look good this year, because that's no easy task. And there's still 13 seconds to go. They have to clear the field. Some Gators are out there celebrating. They thought the clock was going to wind down, but that was a change of possession play. So Michigan will get to run at least one more snap.
Yeah, that's the hardest part about this game is you see Felipe Franks, and I think that is the emotion of this season, of all of the ups and the downs. I love that spot earlier as he's hugging an injured teammate. He's an emotional guy. And if he keeps growing his game and keep trusting himself and the people around him, there is so much to build on in this his redshirt sophomore year. To your point earlier, you're right. It's folks in the truck that make this thing go. We get the fun of just kind of executing. They do all the work behind the scenes.
Donovan Peoples-Jones with a catch from Joe Milton, who gets a chance to play a couple of snaps in place of Shea Patterson, out of bounds with 6 seconds to go. There's a flag down.
I don't see that a lot. You don't see, especially on the winning side of things. I kind of dig that with Felipe.
No foul in the play. First down.
And they've decided just to pick that flag up. And what ought to be the final play of the game. Joe Milton will run. They'll try to get to the sideline. Clock goes to all zeros, and Florida, with a dominant performance in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, they win it 41-15.